to present and be the ambassador of these sponsors and partnerships, and I believe you have the the know-how to go with this and represent your sponsor well, because you're doing a great job as it is now, and I really admire you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. It is a lot of work. It is absolutely. You got to remember, in between sanding, Bondo on cars and painting cars, I'm on the phone, I'm online, I am constantly connected to our marketing partners, current and future potential, whatever you may want to say. I'm always on it, and I'm making sure that they are happy. I do not have the financial means to do this on my own. My father does not have the financial backing to be able to do this on his own. I mean, we need financial backing to get this done. And it is my intention 100% to make sure that our current and future marketing partners are taken care of, and we do a good job for them, because that is the only way that TJ Zizzo and Zizzo Racing will be successful. There are some teams out there that are very fortunate to be in financial situations where they could afford to do this on their own, and God bless them. That's fantastic. But for us, we thrive on the marketing partner out there to pick up the ball and run with us and grow with us and continue to enjoy the sport of drag racing. It is entertainment. There are thousands and thousands and millions of people who watch the sport. NHRA drag racing is awesome. It's one of the few motorsports where you can come down into the pit area and experience drag racing at its finest, and that is very, very important, and our sport thrives on the fan, and our team thrives on the fans that we get coming to our pit area and shaking my hand and having a good time. I mean, that's what it's about.
Well, yes, and that's great, and I wish you all the best of luck with that, and hoping for a great career for you and building your dream to where you want it to go.
I certainly appreciate that, Mr. NitroJohn. I mean, that means a lot to me, and I hope your listeners hear the passion in my voice as I drive at 55 miles an hour, right down I-55 on my way home to pick up my daughter from junior high school. Although she's not even in junior high school, she's playing bingo at junior high school right now. At a junior high school in their neighborhood, and that's important. It's important to have young, energetic. And I don't find myself young by any stretch of the imagination. I'm 36 years old now. I'm balding, for God's sake, but I still bring that enthusiasm to the sport of drag racing, and I hope your listeners get that across. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, you're still young. I know you're the same age as my son, and I still think of him as a kid. So I understand. So I wanted to ask you a question. I know at age 16 you got your NitroJohn license, and it says you recorded the world. You were the world's fastest teenager. Do you remember what that speed was, or what you drove?
Oh, absolutely. How can you not remember those magical moments, I remember the day vividly. I went to Union Grove, Wisconsin to finish up my license in my dad's top alcohol dragster. We had thrashed all night getting it together just so I could attain my license and get that accomplished. And I went 212 miles an hour on one of my first full passes down the racetrack. Now, let's back up a little bit. When I was 16 years old. I had just turned 16. I didn't even know how to drive a manual transmission car. And my mom and dad said, "Hey, you've been a good kid, like I talked about in the beginning. You don't get in trouble. You're good in school. You have a good head on your shoulders." A week after I turned 16, I went to Indianapolis Raceway Park to start my licensing process. And I'll never forget that moment. I hopped out of the car when I was 16 years old, and my dad had been driving for 20 years at that point. And I hopped out of the car, and all I did was a burnout. I staged the car, and I went no more than 60 feet. I remember hopping out of the car at the end of the quarter mile with duct tape hanging from my fire suit, because it was my dad's fire suit that I was borrowing because I couldn't afford a fire suit.
Right.
And I remember hopping out of the car when him and my mom and our crew guy got down there, and I said, "Dad, what was so hard about that? Let's do it again." So, from that point, we had taken baby steps, because keep in mind I was 16. I was young, and we had We went to Indianapolis. I made a couple passes there. We went to Florida. I made a couple passes there. You know, we had traveled. Just in doing this in the right way, on not getting over my head and going to 60 feet, going to 100 feet, going to 330 feet, going to the half-track mark, you know, going to 1,000 feet, then going to a quarter mile. I mean, this was a long process. This was almost a year-long process that it took to do this, because my dad wanted to make sure I was ready and willing to do this properly.
Right.
And that day, when I finally attained my license, when I became world's fastest teenager, when I went 212 miles an hour, that was absolutely spectacular. And then, after I attained my license to compete at my first event, and I was still a teenager, and I was going 220 miles an hour in high school and telling all my physics buddies, hey, this is what I'm doing on weekends, and talking about it, and being on TV, all those things, you know, it still raises the hair on my arm to say, this is what you love to do, and this is what I've done. That pass at Union Grove, Wisconsin, when I was 16,
yeah.
I remember the day, the sunshine. I remember all those things that were taking place at that point. I remember leaving the starting line, having the front end of that race car, you know, raise up into the air, you know, a foot high, and set them back down at 200 feet, and hit second gear, and then hit high gear, and go to the finish line. I mean, it was absolutely amazing to attain my license at that age. That's for sure. Oh,
exactly. Well, that one, I'm sure that's what got in your blood, and ever since then, look where you are now. Can you imagine being where you are now from when you were 16?
Right, and no, I can't. And you know, like I've alluded to, you know, or alluded to, people have told me, you know, it's so neat that you get to drive that top fuel car. I feel blessed I get to drive this car. I get to do something that is absolutely spectacular, and you know, every single fan out there that I have carries me to that finish line every single time. I mean, that's what it's all about. And to be able to do that, I never dreamt that I would drive a top fuel car. And here I am, you know, talking to you, and be able to go to Gainesville, Florida, to run this car. It just gets me excited thinking about it. I mean, I'm all jacked up.
I bet you are, and so are we. You know, as your fans, we're you know, I'm headed there myself, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there, and hoping that you have a outstanding weekend racing in Gainesville.
Absolutely. You know, we've made great strides over the off season here. But one thing we know about motorsports, especially drag racing, you only want to change one thing at a time, and we're going out there with a newer chassis and a new front half on this race car. Those are things that, you know, I didn't want as a team manager, and I talked to our crew chief, and I talked to my dad and all our team members about, I didn't want to go to Gainesville with a lot of different changes. I wanted to go to Gainesville with one simple change, and that was the chassis. And that's not a simple change in itself. So we're going to see how it reacts. We're going to see how it works. I mean, it's the good old scientific method. You know, change one thing at a time until you prove that it works,
right,
and then change for the next thing. Because I don't want to go there and changing multiple things and going, holy cow, what, you know, if it didn't work, what do we need to do to go back? Because our car runs superior. Our car runs very well. We do a great job, and I want to make sure that we go there and do a good job for our marketing partners, for Mystix, for Pete, all those guys. We want to go there and do a good job for them.
Well, yeah, and plus, I don't think you were fortunate to even do any testing with it yet, have you?
That is correct. We have not tested with this, but you know, we have knowledge of. I surround myself with a great group of a great team. They have a wealth of knowledge behind them. You know, we do our homework. So as far as the driving standpoint, sure, I haven't had an opportunity, but you know, I've made hundreds of passes down the quarter mile or down the 1,000-foot mark now.
Right.
And you know, can I compare myself at that first event with the Spencer Matthews of the world and all those great drivers out there that I'm competing against? No, but I will darn well sure that I do a good job, keep the car in the groove, have a decent reaction time, and do the best job I can. Sure, we haven't been able to test yet, but I have all the confidence in the world that we're going to go there and we're going to do well.
Oh yeah, I believe. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a learning experience and getting data and finding out what you need to do. But you can only go up from there, I believe. You know, I think you know, with the Gainesville coming up, it's going to be a challenge for you, and I believe that you'll do great. I have a great feeling about this, and hopefully everything goes well.
I appreciate that. I mean, you look at the field. There's going to be 22 cars there, and sure, you know, I go to NitroJohn.com and I see how many cars are entered, and I see that there's 22 cars, and a lot of those cars are strong running cars and things. But
right.
I go there with all the confidence in the world, and I appreciate that, John, that you have, you know, you feel the confidence and that we could do this, because, you know, it is our first event of the year, and just getting the semi out of the driveway to go to Gainesville is a task at this point. But you know, we are definitely up for it, and we're ready to do the best job we can. And I'm so excited to be going to Gainesville. Last time I went to Gainesville was only the second time I'd ever competed in Top Fuel, and we were the worst car there. We were the absolute worst car there. But it was only our second event, and since then we've learned so much, and we're looking forward to going out there and doing the best job we can. I'm so jacked. Well,
that's great. Best of luck to you. Have you reached your destination yet? Are you still driving in the snow yet?
No, matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that. No, it's still just drizzling, and I am no more than 20 minutes from my destination. And the amazing thing is, my wife called me. I talked to my wife right before I got on the phone with you, and she said there was an inch of snow. I am still at the point, and I'm only 20 minutes away, only 20 miles away from my house, and where I need to go to pick up my daughter from junior high school, and there is, or a junior high school, and there is absolutely no snow here. It's amazing. I can't believe there's an inch of snow at my house.
And you're
there's not any snow where I'm driving right now, which is simply amazing. It goes to show